Welcome to another episode of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies, and in this video, going to talk about Caol Ila Distillery and do a review of the Caol Ila Moch. It's a non-age statement. Now, you may not have heard of Caol Ila Moch, particularly if you are a U.S. resident. It's part of the core range of Caol Ila, but not in the U.S. market. So mostly available, say, in the EU and UK. Now, I went back to Scotland for my third trip in July 2023. Went through the Springbank Whiskey School. Taylor and Mig and I both went to the school. And then from Springbank, we went over to Glassware Distillery and then drove up the Caldalton coast and stayed at the Stonefield Castle Hotel. The hotel has a real nice whiskey bar. And, I'm looking at the whiskey bar and I'm thinking, okay, what do I want to have? What do I want to try? And I thought, Mach, I never heard of that. So I tried a little bit of the Caol Ila Moch in a glass, probably just like this one. Really, really liked it. So I said, okay, if I can find a bottle of that, I got to get one. Next day, we go over to Islay, take the ferry over to Islay. Spent a few days on Islay, went to all the distilleries, including Caol Ila. Now, I had been to Islay back in June 2018, and we had gone to the tasting room of Caol Ila, but we did do a tour. This time, got to do a tour, and they had the Caol Ila Moch, so I picked up a bottle. So, if you're a U.S. viewer or Northern America viewer, apologize if you can't find a bottle here in the United States. If you search around on Google, you might be able to. But if you're in the UK and the EU, you might want to pick up a bottle after I review it. But before I review it, I'm going to give you a little tour of Caol Ila Distillery, tell you about a little bit of their history and their production. Caol Ila Distillery is located on the north side of the Isle of Islay, near Port Ascaig. The name Caol Ila is derived from a Gaelic word meaning Sound of Islay, literally Islay Strait, in reference to the distillery's location overlooking the strait between Islay and Jura. Caol Ila Distillery was founded in 1846 by Hector Henderson. In 1927, Distillers Company Limited became the sole owner of Caol Ila Distillery, which is now owned by Diageo. They use a Porteous malt mill. The distillery has a 12.5 ton mash tun. They have 8 wood washbacks and 2 stainless steel washbacks. And they have 3 pairs of stills. The Caol Ila core range. The Caol Ila 15-year-old unpeated, the Caol Ila 12-year-old, the Caol Ila 18-year-old, and the Caol Ila Moch. Moch is Gaelic for dawn. It is a non-age statement, but is said to be somewhere between 7 and 8 years old. It's generally not available in the United States, and it's bottled at 43% alcohol by volume. So the first thing you're going to notice in my review is I'm using a rocks glass. This is a Riedel rocks glass. I'm not using the Glencairn, and this is intentional. I had it in a rocks glass at Stonefield Castle Hotel in the bar. Really liked it. When I got home and tried it, I've got it down to about right here right now, and tried it in the Glencairn. Wasn't real big on it. I thought, well, that's a little weird. Okay. Tried it in a rocks glass again, and I liked it. So, gonna need to do a little bit more experimenting on this. It is possible that different types of whiskey might be better in different types of glasses. Let me talk about that for just a second. So, if you don't know, I'm a certified sommelier, spent 20 years in wine. I have a collection of wine glasses for wines, different types of wine glasses for different types of wines. This one is for Cabernet Sauvignon and similar grapes, Cab Franc, Merlot, so forth. This one is for Pinot Noir. I have other glasses that are for like Rieslings and so forth. Having different types of glasses for wines is important because the wines will display their aromas and flavors differently in different glasses. Now, there are over 1,500 different types of grapes. I don't have 1,500 different glasses, one for every grape varietal. But I do have a basic set for the most common grapes or common wines that I like to drink. So, I have tried this with friends that I would have them try the same wine in different glasses, and they didn't believe me. They said, no, this is a trick, this is all in your mind, da, da, da. And then they try it, and they're surprised. If you ever have an opportunity to go through a Riedel glass demonstration, I've been through a couple of them, you'll be surprised at just how different the wines are in different glasses. There's a possibility that something similar to that could happen with different types of whiskeys. Gonna need to do a little bit more experimenting on this. So what are we looking at in terms of the style of whiskey? One, although it's a non-age statement, this is, they guess, somewhere between 7 and 8 years, give or take. Similar in profile in terms of age and the way it reflects its youth is similar to an Ardbeg Wee Beastie. Difference is Ardbeg Wee Beastie is a combination of bourbon cask and sherry cask, whereas I'm fairly certain this might be just predominantly bourbon cask. What's the difference between this whiskey in a rocks glass, like this Riedel? This is actually spey glass from Riedel. I like the cut, I like the mouth, the hand feel of it. I mean, it's a beautiful glass. And if you're gonna put your whiskey on ice, excellent glass. 99.99.99 whatever of the time, I review and taste whiskeys in the Glencairn, same glass everybody else uses. But in this one occasion, I found it really works better than this one. So what are the characteristics of this whiskey that potentially, maybe other whiskeys as well, might do better in a rocks glass? One, it's youthful. Right on the nose, a little bit of the new Mickey character. That's sort of a strange lime character. It doesn't necessarily have like the saccharine powdered sugar note. It doesn't have that, but it definitely comes across as really youthful. I mean, tasted blind or smelled blind, it definitely, it's like, I would actually think this one is actually younger. I would think this is closer to 5 years. But what is better in the rocks glass than in the Riedel glass? In the Riedel glass, I think the smoke is, in the Glencairn glass, the smoke and the peat is out of balance with the newness of the whiskey. Whereas in the rocks glass, I think the peat smoke has been allowed to sort of go wide rather than be narrowly focused. And because it's allowed to go wide, it's allowed to be more expressive of the youth of the whiskey. Let me rephrase that. In this glass, because a young whiskey, the peat smoke has not had as much time to either dissipate or integrate into the spirit. Generally speaking, peated whiskeys, when they're younger, show more of the peat smoke. The peat smoke can sort of become more integrated as well as fade in time. Because it is so youthful and it's so much in your face in comparison to other Caol Ilas, I think allowing it to breathe a little more widely, it's sort of like going from maybe a little bit more narrow glass like this to, with a Pinot Noir, to then a nice big round bowl with a Pinot Noir like this. It's kind of, I'm making an analogy here, and if you're not into wines, you may not get this, understand this. It's going to aerate differently. And so, I think this youthful peated whiskey is coming across more balanced and in harmony in a wider mouth glass. The consequence is, or the result is, It's more of a barbecue smoke that has more subtle spice characteristics than in the Riedel glass. Excuse me, I keep screwing that up. Than in the Glencairn glass, that it seems more ashy and that kind of character. Get more of a waft of smoke than just sort of in your face, up your nose character of smoke. Also that really youthful character of it is then not so much overbearing. Not so much overbearing. So I just think this wider mouth and wider exposure and more air does the whiskey a lot of good. Not just in terms of that I've worked it down through the bottle, but that I'm trying a different glass. And I've tried this side by side. If you have a real youthful, heavily peated whiskey, and maybe you weren't real keen on it, try it on another glass. Maybe it was a Ardbeg Wee Beastie 5-year-old or some other one. My suggestion is try it in another glass. Try it that allows it to breathe a little bit more. Now, obviously, it's breathed more in terms of getting down through the bottle and just sitting here in a glass. But try it in a bigger glass. I'm now going to go back and start experimenting with some other bottles that I have that are very youthful, that are showing those new makey characteristics that I don't like, and perhaps I will like them more in this glass. If you've experimented with glasses and you have found similar results or different results, let me know in the comment section down below. Now, let's get on into the review. There are some people who are going to love this whiskey, and there's some people who are going to be like, I don't like it. I think this is a whiskey Bart over at Scotch Test Dummies. I think he would really like this one. I get that lemon and lime. The smoke is now nicely interwoven. I get some chocolate. I get some spice. I get mint, like a York's peppermint patty. Some vanilla, a lot of vanilla on the palate. It's only at 43% alcohol by volume, and yet it's got a little bit of a bite. I think that's a youthful bite. On the palate, too, it's not just on the nose, but on the palate. I like the way it comes across on the palate from the rocks glass. Chocolate, a little bit of nuttiness. Caol Ila, in particular, seems to have this nutty character to it. Vanilla, a little bit of that lemon and lime character to it. Chocolate, and some tropical notes as well, like maybe like pineapple or mango or something like that. It's got a pretty long finish. Starts off sweet and stays fairly sweet all the way through. Not necessarily a huge development in the transitions, but it does have more mint. That chocolate mint character on the finish. So I really like this whiskey. Generally speaking, I don't like really youthful whiskeys, and I don't like really youthful peated whiskeys. They don't necessarily offend me. It's just not my thing. It's just not my thing. So this is a rarity in which one that I really like, that's really youthful, really heavily peated. The alcohol seems higher than it actually is. It's only 43. But that's the youthful bite and not strictly an alcohol bite. Maturation in the cask will sort of soften the edges of alcohol. You can have a Scotch that's 15, 18 years old and real high ABV, over 55% ABV, and yet it doesn't necessarily have a strong bite because it's had that time to mature. So what would I give this in terms of a score? I'll give it a solid 80. Higher than 85, but I don't want to go 90. So let's call it an 87. I say that because I like it. I think the development is fairly good. I like the finish. So that's what's getting the score up there. What I would want more, it's going to take more time, more maturation, more integration, more variances in flavors to get me higher than 87, get into 89 and over 100. I think what people are going to find challenging is, if you look around at the prices, if you can get this for equivalent to $80 or less US. Of course, if you're buying in Scotland or the UK, you're probably, I don't know what they're going to pay over there, equivalent to US, then I would say go for it. If it's over $100, if you're in the United States, you got to pay over $100, I would say, you know what? Just get a Caol Ila 12-year-old. The Caol Ila 12-year-old are ubiquitous here in the United States. You can pick them up at any main chain whiskey shop. So you might want to just try the 12-year-old instead. All right. I want to know what your experience is if you've tried this. I know Matt over at Whiskey Crusaders, he tried this and he really liked this. So check out his review as well, the Whiskey Crusaders. And let me know what you think. All right. Until next time, Slanjiva. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and check out these other whiskey videos.